Hi, welcome to Healthy To Do's channel. And today we have Amy here to tell us a little bit about how we can empower ourselves to speak up in the medical community. So a lot of patients may experience that because they're facing a specialist or a medical doctor that they are having trouble really communicating why they're there or what type of help that they might need. So today, we're trying to teach some of the mindset shifts that someone can have in order to optimize their time with their family doctor or with their specialist while getting exactly what they want. Thank you, Amy, for coming in today.
Thank you so much, Wendy, for having me.
Tell me a little bit about your business and what makes you unique in this space to tell us a little bit about how we can empower people in general in front of their doctors and their specialists.
Yeah, I'd love to. Thank you so much. I'm Amy Au, founder and executive coach of InnovateYou, and I am also a Fascinate certified advisor who radiates inspiring transformation. So my mission is to create more positive impact and create a brighter future, one leader at a time. But I also emphasize on empowering women, in particular in STEM areas, to own their voice, to amplify their voice, understand how they can overcome their internal barriers, and they can achieve more goals faster.
Mm-hmm. So, Amy, if someone wants to work with you, what are some of the transformations that they expect to see?
Right. It varies from person to person, but a lot of times it's all about having that awareness and even just having a third person to talk to, because sometimes you can't really talk to the family about some of the challenges you might have, or like people at work, your managers, and to have a third person to listen to you, have a sounding board, and it helps clarify what actually is going through your mind. Because as you probably know, we have so much thoughts going through every single day, like in our minds, like every minute, right? Thousands of those. And how do we kind of see through and also to pick out what is helping us, what is not serving us, and to distinguish that. And so then you can have that clarity and focus on what you really care about, what you wanted to achieve, and align to what your values are and purpose in life. And really that can help not just shifting the dynamics and helping anybody to have a better progression on their career or even a much fulfilling life. And that's where I see a lot of the clients that once they started working with a coach, that they can understand what they are already capable of and they can unlock those potential that they didn't realize before that and be able to use their skills and develop some new ones, get rid of some bad habits perhaps and build some new good habits. And that transformation would take them much further in their career and also be able to have a more fulfilling life, less stress, be able to deal with a lot of emotional tags, people that currently are facing a lot of challenges. So really, I love my job and how I can see the impact is like direct.
Yeah, it sounds like you're removing barriers to people and their lives and their challenges so that they can get to their goals a lot faster.
Absolutely.
Okay, wonderful. One of the things that I notice a lot with some of my cancer patients, just so people know that I am a naturopathic doctor, is that I see a lot of cancer patients and help them through this journey. One of the things I see a lot, and I hear a lot from my patients too, is that they feel like they can't communicate what they needed with their oncologist because number one, they think that there's so little time that they have with their oncologist every single time they see them. They're rushed perhaps in their appointments. And number two, they hear stuff from people that has gone through cancer or they see it on social media or on the internet. Some people suggesting that they need certain tests done or certain monitoring done or certain frequency of monitoring and tests done. They don't want to speak up because they feel like they are very small in that situation. So, what are some of your ways, Amy, to help those people to kind of like empower their own belief or self-belief to be able to stand up and really have a voice in these type of situations.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I think that's very common, and especially nowadays that patients and us would be using like ChatGPT, right, to find out answers, right, not just Googling. And we believe that could be like a lot of informations are true, and we wanted to believe it. So in terms of for the patients, I see that is quite similar to some of like my clients, right, when they are seeking for help on finding their voice as a leader and in their workplace, right? And the key is really is to find out what is really their outcome that they're looking for, right? So if they have a clarity on what they're trying to achieve when asking the doctors on certain opinions, or they trying to share what their situation is, first ask themselves, what is the outcome they would like that conversation to come out with? Right? If they have that clear understanding where they want it to lead to, then the question would be, I would ask them to think of what is the questions to ask a doctor would be most helpful to help them to gain to that and lead to that outcome, right? So, for example, if the patient wants to, not having those treatment that might they feel like is draining their energy, they don't have the energy to do anything during the day. What could possible alternatives that the patients can get, right? And so be able to understand what they're trying to get is to find out an alternative of treatment from the doctor and express in a way that can help the doctor understand what is actually bothering them, right? Is it pain? Is it that they have no energy because of those treatments? And then add on the context of they have heard from others, but respectfully understanding that the doctors has the information and knowledge and experience to provide that alternative. But articulating that outcome to the doctor first is so important, right? And so once they understand, then I'm sure that the doctors and the specialists will be able to work with them to find a better solution.
While you were talking, one of the things that occurred to me is that some people may not speak out because they might be fearful of judgment, right, by their doctors, and maybe thinking that they are less than or dumb, for lack of a better way of putting this, in just by asking the questions or just by observing certain things that they might, like the doctor might not think it's relevant. So how do one can overcome that insecurity in that sort of way?
And it's important to express that to the doctor because they have the knowledge, right? And not be afraid to speak that up because that's the only way your doctor knows. They cannot read your minds, right? And so articulate that, helping the doctor to understand more, understand what your health goal is, actually would be mutually beneficial and respecting the knowledge that the doctor has and together as a team, right? And just like how we collaborate at work, that makes a way better outcome.
I agree with that. And so just to kind of summarize a little bit, so your suggestion is really looking at what are your goals, what are your final goals in this conversation, and then working a little bit backwards. And on top of that, really kind of looking at someone's assumption or your own assumption on certain symptoms or like what other people might perceive this, and see if it will hinder your outcome, your final goal.
Right. Absolutely.
Okay. Yeah, perfect. So Amy, as a leadership coach, what are some of the tips that you may want to kind of tell our audiences today about how to navigate this complex healthcare system that we have?
Well, definitely is something very close to everybody's. Like there's moments that we find ourselves like we're doubting ourselves. We're doubting whether we have that knowledge. We're doubting whether we are good enough to speak up. But if you think about doing something to relate to your health, it is your personal matter, right? And you know best of yourself, right? Nobody knows about how you're feeling, how you're experiencing treatments, or how you want your health to be in the next 10, 20, 30, 45, 50 years, right? So, and in that sense, that you wanted to be able to help yourself to understand that you need to advocate for yourselves and be confident with that. And knowing that the healthcare systems, there is a lot of complexities, but your healthcare providers, they're all there to support. And when you don't know or you don't understand some of the terminologies, right? Some of the side effects of treatments, and it's totally okay to ask, because we have to recognize that we don't have all the knowledge, and it is good to ask questions to find out how they can help themselves, right? Through knowledge, through questioning on how is the best way, and that would be much more clear to be able to get to where they need to be.
One of the things I would like to add to that conversation is the fact that in a lot of hospitals, in a lot of healthcare settings, some people will have language barriers as a part of this conversation too.
Right.
And you can ask for translators. You can ask for people who can help you and tell you in your own language what some of the medical terms are. So a lot of people will have passable English, like every single day English, but through medical terms they might not understand what it is. So you can ask for translators in that situation in order to help in that communication.
Right. Yeah. And be confident that everybody's, like, it doesn't matter what your first language is. When it comes to like talk about medical treatments and everything about your health, it's the best to articulate that in your first language, right? And it's much easier that way. So finding the translator is going to help you, and they are professional translators, so they can understand your language as well as interpreting that, so then your healthcare provider can understand what exactly you're feeling, how the treatment is working or not working, and be able to eliminate those interpretation, right, or misunderstanding. And it's so crucial, isn't it?
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Amy, for being here today.
Thank you.
Thank you for your wisdom in leadership and also empowerment. And I hope that for the people who are watching this and or reading about it through their phones, that they take something away from this conversation. They find that they might feel more comfortable talking to their healthcare practitioners.